Hello students, welcome to the Pathshala. I am Anup Kumar Kapoor from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Today I am going to speak on the module Report Writing and Publication from the paper Research Methods and Fieldwork. Before we start, I would like to say something that the writing and publication is very important. This module is very important in writing down the paper or writing down the PhD or MPhil thesis, because without writing this part, everything is incomplete. Data collection is very important dimension. Then analysis is another important dimension. How you write, what you write, and because when you write things or the articles, throughout the world people read, and then they will come to know that what you have written, that is the basis of your research work. So before we start, I will the methods and fieldwork. The learning outcome of these modules are: in this module, the learner will able to understand what is report writing, what are the components or structure of a report, what are the steps or guides needed for producing a good report, what are the various forms of publication, why we need to publish in high standing, high impact, high citation rate journals, how to choose a right journal for publication. Now, first of all, let us discuss about the general concept of research report. Research report is a condensed form or a brief description of the field work, research work done by the student researcher. It involves several steps to present the report in the form of thesis or dissertation or a scientific paper. Exact information and evidence are presented, analyzed, and applied to a particular problem or issue. The information is presented in such a manner that it is clearly structured, format making use of sections and headings so that the information is easy to locate and follow. Reports fill a vast array of information needs for many of society's important organizations. Reports are used for keeping track of information which may be used to make decisions. Reports are used in government, business, education, science, and other fields, are often to display the result of an experiment, investigation, or inquiry. Instructions and guidelines are usually given while writing a report. The report brief may outline the purpose, audience, and problem or issue that your report must address, together with any specific requirements for format or structure. Now let us see the reasons why reports are used as form of written assessment. Two of the reasons why reports are used as forms of written assessment are: first, to find out what you have learned from your readings, research, or experience. Second, to give you experience of an important skill that is widely used in the workplace. An effective report presents and analyzes facts and evidence that are relevant to the specific problem or issue the report brief. All sources used should be acknowledged and referenced throughout in accordance with the preferred method of your department or referencing system, or as you wish to follow the system. The style of writing in a report is usually less discursive than in essay, with a more direct and economic use of language. A well-written report will demonstrate the ability to understand the purpose of the report, brief, and adhere to its specifications. Gather, evaluate, and analyze relevant information, structure material in a logical and coherent order, present your report in a consistent manner, and according to the instructions of the report brief. Make appropriate conclusion that are supported by the evidence and analysis of the report, and make thoughtful and practical recommendations where required. Now let us discuss about the structure of a report. As a guideline, some of the main features usually followed in writing a report are described below. These should be used in conjunction with the instructions or guidelines provided by the concerned department or institution or the publisher. Title page. The report should include a title page which explicitly describes the purpose of report, should furnish the title of the work research followed by other details of the author such as name, affiliation, institution, date and the purpose for the report. When I say name, it should be full name. That is very important, not initials. Terms of reference. Under this heading, you could include a brief explanation of who will read the report, audience, why it was written, purpose, and how it was written, methods. It may be in the form of a subtitle or a single paragraph. Then comes summary, that is abstract. The summary should briefly explain the content of the report. It should cover the aims of the report, what was found, and what, if any, action is called for. The summary should not be too lengthy. It can be varied from journal to journal. All the instruction provided, but generally ranges from 150 to 250 words, and it is just outline the main points. Then comes contents. The contents page should list the different chapters and or headings together with the page numbers. The contents page should be presented in such a way that the reader can quickly scan the list of headings and locate a particular part of the report by providing page references. When we talk about introduction, the introduction sets the scene for the main body of the report. The aims and objective of the report should be explained in detail. Any problems or limitations in the scope of the report should be identified, and a description of research methods, the parameters of the research, and any necessary background history should be included. Methodology. Information under this heading may include a list of equipment used, explanations of procedures followed, data collection method, relevant information on materials used, reference to any problems encountered, and subsequent changes in procedure. For quantitative research, statistical tools used in the analysis part also need to be discussed. When we come to results, this section should include a summary of the results of the investigation or experiment together with any necessary illustration such as diagram, graph, or tables of gathered data that supports the results. Results should be in logical order without comment. Then comes discussion. The main body of the report is the discussion part. The facts and the evidence results gathered should be analyzed and discussed with the specific references to the problem or issue. While discussing, the findings of the study needs to be discussed along with the secondary sources on the concerned topic. Then comes conclusion. The conclusion should show the overall significance of what has been covered. The most central issue or findings should be highlighted or reported. However, no new material and text references should be introduced in the conclusion. Then comes appendices. Under this heading, all the supporting information used that is not published should be included. This might include tables, graphs, questionnaires, surveys, or transcripts. Refer to the appendices in the body of your report. References and bibliography. References contain source of material like quotes or text which has been actually used and cited when writing the report. Bibliography, on the other hand, will contain all listed relevant research materials which might have not been cited inside the text while writing the reports. Both bibliography and references appear at the end of the research report. But bibliography comes after the reference list. Usually, both references and bibliography are arranged alphabetically, and then comes acknowledgements. Where appropriate, you may wish to acknowledge the assistance of a particular organization's financial support or individuals who provided information, advice, or help. Then comes glossary. It is used to provide an alphabetical list of technical terms with a brief, clear explanation of each term. It can also include explanation of the acronyms, abbreviations, or standard units used in the report. Publication or report. The dissemination of the research results and the findings are an integral part of the research process and the career in academia. Researchers write to keep records of their work for themselves, but more importantly, for readers and peers who are expecting a standard form, language, and style when reading research papers. Writing in a scientific style may be hard in the beginning for novice, but clear communication and concise writing for a scientific audience can be trained. Even when researcher writes highly original and interesting papers, publication is by no means ensured, and there is a good deal of strategy involved having papers accepted for publication. Choice of journal is important since research quality is assessed by quality of the research in which it is published, and it is therefore necessary to aim for as a journal of as high standing as possible. Let us have a glance at the forms of publication. There are various forms of papers, and to some these forms can be stages in the production of a journal, article, and some of the important forms of publication are discussed below. For example, conference paper. This is often the first form of publication of research or review findings. A commitment to a conference presentation provides a deadline which can increase a researcher's focus. One needs to prepare something useful to say. A conference is a made-to-order feedback mechanism, though often the most useful comments will be obtained outside the formal sessions. Audience members may draw attention to other related research, in-house discussion, papers, and monographs. These are sometimes used as a first run or as a more durable form for an unpublished conference paper to establish claim in the field, publicize research, and obtain feedback. These have higher status if subjected to pre-review processes, journals, articles. In general, the greatest publication credit is obtained for having papers published in refereed journals. This can be a time-consuming and exacting task. Choice of an appropriate journal is critical. Sometimes papers rejected in one journal will be accepted by another. Book chapters. These are another well-respected form of publication, though often rank not quite as high as publication in journal. The review process for books typically is not as exacting as for journals. Authored and edited books, author books tend to be regarded more highly than collections of chapters individually authored by contributors. Also, books with a mainly research focus tend to be regarded more highly than textbooks. Notably, the weight given to books depends to some extent on the peculiarity of the appraiser. Consultancy reports, to some extent, taking on consultancies is competitive with undertaking research projects. In an academic environment, consultancy reports typically are not considered as publication in terms of the narrow criteria which bring academic recognition, funding, and promotion. Extension papers. These can perform a useful technology transfer and service function. Unfortunately, in an academic environment, they are given little, if any, credit. Let us understand the importance of high standing, high impact, high citation rate journals. This idea involved to some extent maintaining a clear disciplinary focus in one's research program. The importance of publishing in high standing, high impact factor, high citation rate journals cannot be overemphasized. At the same time, the journal should be clearly within the researcher's discipline area. Sometimes it is difficult to know if a paper one has written is worth publishing. In this situation, it is helpful if an opinion can be obtained from an experienced publisher, such as a departmental mentor. There can be advantages to joint authorship to the extent that length of the publication list is important. It can be beneficial to have a large number of jointly authored papers rather than a small number of sole authored papers. Also, the combined efforts of two or more researchers can result in stronger papers and hence acceptance in better journals, which has been shown in figure. Choosing the right journal, choosing the appropriate journals to publish an article is one of the most important decisions that are made in the publication process. Not all journals are equal in the terms of quality and prestige. The two key issues associated with selecting a journal, that is matching the type of article to the publication outlet and determining the quality of a journal. Matching the journal to the journal. Journals are selective in what they publish. They usually publish material on a particular discipline area. It seems almost self-evident that it is important to select a journal that publishes material on the topic of a paper. Usually, the chief editor of the journal acts as the gatekeeper and will not allow unsuitable papers to proceed to the review process. Although this is not always the case, publication can be delayed substantially by submitting a paper to the wrong type of journals, particularly if it goes into the review process before being deemed to be unsuitable. It is almost inevitable that at some stage a submitted paper may also get rejected on certain ground or may be asked to review and resubmit for consideration of publication. Under such circumstances, one should not get discouraged. Instead, try to submit the article to another related journals or resubmit to the same journal after making corrections and modification as per the instructions of reviewer. Here the figure illustrates the simplified activity diagram of the process of publishing a paper in a journal, which is very clear. Now I will summarize what we have learned in this module. Research report is a condensed form or a brief description of the research work done by the researcher. In a research report holds a very important stage where the information or data generated during the entire research work need to be presented in a systematic and acceptable format. Thus, emphasis will be given to report writing for students and researchers. Instructions and guidelines are needed for writing a report. The main contents of a good report are title page, terms of reference, summary, that is abstract, contents, introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion, appendices, references, and bibliography and acknowledgement and glossary. The publication of research results and findings an integral part of the research process and the career in academic work. There are various forms of publications. They are conference papers, in-house discussion papers, journal articles, book chapters, authored and edited books, consultancy reports, extension papers, etc. There is a need for publishing in high standard, high impact, high citation rate journals. It is helpful if an opinion can be obtained from an experienced publisher such as a departmental mentor. Choosing the appropriate journal to publish an article is one of the most important decisions that are made in the publication process. The paper which we have sent to a journal has gone to review and was rejected on the basis of reviewers' comments. Do not be discouraged. The comments of the editor and reviewers are often useful feedback and should be addressed as far as possible before resubmitting the paper to another journal. It is likely that the next reviewers will have some similar views to the previous reviewers. Before submission, it is important to rework the paper following the particular style requirements of the new target journal. In the case of early career researchers, the balance between quality and quantity of publication is strongly in favor of quantity. This does not mean that quality is not important. It simply reflects the fact that quality publication take time to produce and have published. It is also true that something is better than nothing. It is important for early career researchers to produce some publication in the intervening period. A reasonable target is to produce at least 2 published papers a year or more if they are multi-author. Now here I would like to give a 2 important because those who after master's level they come for MPhil or PhD program. Now student is confused what to write when they start writing down the thesis or MPhil dissertation. See, in the global world, throughout the world, there are different techniques, there are different journals, there are different ways of writing down the references and bibliography. That is, it is up to you. When you do the library work, choose one technique and follow that technique. That is very important. Number 1. Number 2, when you write down your dissertation or MPhil or PhD thesis, you have to attach some photographs while doing your research. That is very important. That is the proof that you have been to field area. That comes in the appendices, right? And then you can also include some life histories, case studies in your work. That is the supported evidence in carrying out some socio-cultural studies. Thank you.